Hello everyone, this is Coach Dinosaur. Welcome to this new video featuring a surprise move for White against a King's Indian defense or Gruenfeld setup. Here is the surprise move. D4, Knight F6, C4, G6. Normally, those who plays Gruenfeld, they're waiting for Knight C3, then followed by D5 move. Or if you are King's Indian defense player, you will end up playing same thing, Knight C3, Bishop G7, E4, D6, Knight F3, Castle, Bishop E2, E5, Castle, Knight C6, D5, and Knight E7. The problem is on the third move, White plays a surprise move, D5. If you are playing a Gruenfeld setup or that kind of King's Indian defense, playing the Knight C6 and Knight E7, you are now in an unfamiliar territory because you couldn't set up such opening in that kind of position. So here is a surprise move where in this video I will demonstrate how you can play against such a surprise move. So here it is. Black should now play a logical move B5, setting up a distraction on the center of the white's pawn, since white has only moved 2 pawns, the C and the D pawns. So with this sacrifice, white is for my opinion has no chance to develop the E4 because the pawn on B5 is pressuring the C4. So it means white should capture the pawn. But after the capture of the pawn, black can play again A6, which giving up another pawn. This setup or this kind of setup is a setup in a Benko gambit, where basically black just give up the A and B pawn in exchange of the C pawn, but it will attack the diagonal from A1 to H8, and at the same time the A and B file. Black will use that open ranks and diagonal, open files and diagonal. Yeah. So here white can also play B6, but after C6 Queen B3 threatening B7, forking the rook and the bishop. Black can just play Bishop B7, and after pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, black is 1 pawn down, but the development of minor pieces and the other bishop is also ready to prepare on Bishop G7 and castle. I don't think that white has a advantage here. It might be slight advantage for black. So of course if you are already having that pawn advantage, white will eventually can capture with the B takes A6. But let's think other options or other option. So example is E3. So the bishop can be activated and protect the b5 pawn. So if e3 has been played, so black just play normal. Let's see, knight c3, castle, knight f3, uh, bishop b7, attacking now the d5. And if bishop e2, pawn captures. If knight takes, of course it's not so good because the pawn on d5 will be under attack. And if bishop takes, here comes knight takes d5, and takes d5, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, and c6. And so it's a fork. So of course if your bishop is forced to be captured, so you just exchange it with the c6. And after knight takes c6, white castles, queen c7, and then rook d1 here. Of course, excuse me, white is one pawn advantage, but the a pawn and the b pawn are very weak. If you can see, the rook on b8 and the bishop on g7 is already attacking the pawn. And if, for example, queen captures pawn, which is a blunder, looks like exchange of queens are possible here, but rook d8 wins the game. Right? So if this pawn cannot be moved because easily the rook can be captured, if queen protects, and then the bishop on c1 is already in a not so good position. So in this case, black can just play a simple e3 and then followed by d5, which is really good for black here because of the pressure on the a file and the b file, and the white's bishop is even worse than a pawn. Excuse me. So it's not really so good to play such move. So here, let's put it back to the original. So instead of e3, right? So let's analyze now b takes a6. So after b takes a6, black plays c6 because the a6 pawn is actually so weak. So you don't need to capture that, but black is gaining tempo. As you can see, white just played the c pawn and the d pawn, and black is creating development instead of capturing those isolated pawns which can be captured in the future. So here, after the c6, of course the best move is d takes c6. And if, for example, white played knight c3, then black develops the tempo with the knight takes c takes d5, knight takes d5 check. And if of course queen is attacking the king and the knight, if bishop, of course it will be captured. So knight moves to c3, and then after that proceed with the plan and going to put a pressure on c3 because the queen is pinning the knight, and at the same time bishop prepares to attack the c3. And if, for example, bishop g2, black can just simply capture now the pawn. And for example, knight f3, castle, g3, knight c6, bishop g2, rook fb8. As you can see, the a and the b pawn are not in a good position. It's really bad. So example, rook protects, and now knight d5. So for example, knight takes, queen takes d5, and castle, then queen takes a2. If for example he plays b3, then here comes knight d4. Knight cannot capture because of this. Of course, it's really losing if you take that. So if castles, capture, check, or even bishop is not so good because of this move. But knight takes really give blacks a very good chance in this position. So black gets the center pawns, while white gets the a and b pawn in a weak matter, unlike the black. So here black has an edge. So let's go back to the position of instead of playing nc3. That's why d takes c6 is preferred. After knight takes c3, e3, protecting the pawn on e3, but it's still it's not a so good position. Bishop g7, knight f3, castle, bishop e2, and bishop takes a6. So here, if you capture that move, rook takes is not a good move, and I think white can handle the white pawns because a and b pawns are very dangerous for such a pass pawns with no white's bishop there. So instead of rook takes, black can check, and with this check, after example knight c3, and then black can play knight e4 with the pressure on the c3. Okay, so here I will leave it to the viewers to study this line. I believe that black has gained the edge, a slight advantage here, and it's really a good position for black, since white has not yet secured his development, and at the same time black has already prepared the a and b easily. This rook on f8 can move to b8, and things are getting easy for black to develop the pieces, at the same time put the pressure on the a and b. And once the a and b pawn will be captured, and then black will have a pawn advantage here. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something, and please subscribe. Thank you.